this guest here today, I'm super excited to talk about because she speaks my business language, if you will, around systems, processes, the need for that fractional executive team to kind of be in the stability of your business, right? I always try to tell people in a simpler manner. For me, it's like one of the most important people in my businesses that I've ever run is usually my administrative wing, right? Like I can't survive without them. Now I know Kati does so much more than that, but that's just kind of my basic example of the importance of the executive team, let's say. So Kati, welcome to the show today. I'm super excited to learn more about what you guys do and how that impacts our business owners who are watching these episodes. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and how you make money.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I have a team of fractional executives. I am passionate about systems, operations, having a number two, having a rock star. I think we've all been in a position that it's like, if I just had someone that could come in and do it and I don't have to babysit or teach them or go through that whole kind of like learning curve process. So I built a bench of fractional executives who have ran companies, sat in the C-suite positions, and we've developed a system where it's really on demand and plug and play. The reason why I did that is I want everyone to have access to top level talent without having to commit to some crazy $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 salary just to be like, hey, I need a wingman. I need to get this next project launched. Like, help me out.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that concept because, like you said, one of the biggest challenges business owners have as they scale, right, is when do I pull the trigger on a key executive hire, whether that's a CMO, a CFO, right, whatever that is. So maybe tell us a little bit about when you go in and assess a business or a business says like, hey, Kati, can you come in and take a look at things and see where you guys can help us out? What are you looking for? What are those pain points that you're seeing, or where are those gaps where you say like, this is an opportunity that we should probably partner together with?
Yeah. So the first one being, if you are an owner, a founder, a CEO, which is not always, you shouldn't always be the CEO. If you're the visionary, right? Like you're a dreamer, you're a connector, you're a relationship builder, you're out there talking to people and yapping it up. If you are not excited about your mission and your vision and your dream anymore, and you feel bogged down with admin and follow up and accounting and payroll, and it's just like really dragging you down and you're not pumped anymore, then it's time to put somebody in place, and the first part is usually exactly what, you guys offer, which is, that support system, right? And as they're growing and as they're expanding, you start looking at people and it's the next in line, right? So let's say you've hired the executive assistant, the VA for sales, whatever that is. If they start to wear too many hats, and if they're bogged down and they've got a backlog of things, we'll come in, we do the traditional org chart. So we're still going to map it out. We're going to look at what phase of business you're in, right? Because we kind of look at the 5-5-4 model. So everyone has 5 phases of business that they can go through. You've got startup, you've got perseverance, viability, scale, and then succession or exiting, right? If you don't want to scale and you don't want to exit, that's fine. If you just want a really dialed in, viable company, great, stay there. You don't have to go through all 5 phases, but you can, and there's stages and steps to that. So we identify what phase of what phase of business they're in. And then we look at all 5 pillars. So we lump in marketing and sales together. They really have to go hand in hand. And then you have leadership, personnel, finance, operations. And when we're looking at those, we're going to kind of identify like, okay, can these swim lanes be merged, right? Like, can you have someone that's in fulfillment and customer service? Yes, you can. Those go hand in hand. Can you have someone, in marketing and fulfillment? Yes, those go hand in hand. And then we kind of identify like, what people do you have? What skills do they have? Are they sitting in the right seat? Are they not in the right seat? Should they move? Should they not be doing something that they have in place? And then who do you need? Not everyone needs, a lot of people are like, oh, I need a CFO. And it's like, no, you don't. You need a data analyst, or they're like, oh, I need a CFO. And it's like, no, you just need a really good bookkeeper. So we try and be the most effective and efficient for companies when we're analyzing those things. And we're there to put systems in place. We're there to kind of like clean it up, get things to the finish line, bring some peace back to the chaos, right? And then if someone really truly does need a long-term fit, one of my favorite clients, and I love them to death, Owen Security, they're nationwide, right? They're all across. They're just as big as ADP. And I loved working with their team. I actually like really looked forward to those meetings. April, I miss you. But I was like, hey guys, it's time. Like, you need to bring in a COO. You need to have someone boots on the ground. You need to have like a full-time operations in-person person, and especially for the culture, so we make that recommendation too. We're there to put systems in place and make sure that it's a good fit, which it doesn't always mean a long-term fit.
I love that. Love that. So how did you, if you don't mind sharing, like, how did you begin to see the need here, and how did you move into a business model, like on the fractional side of it? And what did that journey look like?
Yeah, quite a journey. So I did come from a sales background. I was in high ticket sales. I thankfully had a really amazing manager. Noah Cosby was the best manager that I've ever had, and he was really, I'd say strict. I think I can say strict. He was very strict on KPIs and metrics. But instead of being threatened, because I like to win and I'm very competitive, I saw it as a way to create safety in a sales position. And for salespeople, they like the chase, they love the big commission. There's a high, but there's highs and lows in that. And no matter who you are or what type of personality you have, even for sales folks, they still like safety. And so KPIs were a way for me to translate and motivate my team so they saw a clear path to success. And that's when I really bought into it, because it changed the game for so many salespeople. And then when I got offered my first COO role, just because that wasn't necessarily my background, even though I was crushing it, I still had that imposter syndrome that we all go through from time to time. So I got a coach, and he coached me through 3 companies that I ran as the COO. And I kept working myself out of a job, right? So it's like I would put so many systems in place, I would clean things up, and then it was on to the next one, because that was the right thing to do. It's like, hey, I've served my purpose. I was bored. I was like, what am I doing? And I kind of saw a need for a third party. And I didn't know it was fractional at the time, but I saw a need for it to be a third party, because as a COO or even a CEO, when you come in as an executive to a department in a new company, there's a lot of fear. And you really spend, your first 3, sometimes 4 months, like gaining trust and building, the ladders to get people to do what you need them to do. And that's just not efficient. Sure, some people can come in there, if they've got a big brand and the staff is excited about it. Like, yeah, if we brought in Tim Tebow as our COO, everyone would be on board with it, right? But that doesn't happen. So there's a lot of like trust building and things that just aren't efficient. But when you come in as a third party and it's like, hey guys, I actually, I'm not firing anyone. You're not directly reporting to me. Your owner invested in me to invest into you to make you the best version of yourselves. All those walls and that fighting, the paranoia, the I'm being micromanaged, this person's changing everything, that all seems to just melt away. And I really wanted to create a space that more people, smaller businesses that didn't have, those huge salaries for some of those executives to do that. And so I kind of built everything around that. And in the beginning, I did it myself and I loved it. And I was like, wow, I'm sure other COOs who go into companies and experience this exact same thing, right? Of just, man, it's pulling teeth getting people on board. I just want to put the systems in place. I wish they knew how much data I had to support this decision. And COOs aren't always like treated the best. It's a really weird place to be, where it's like they think you're the teacher's pet, but you're trying to have the staff's back and you're playing offense and defense and going back and forth between the owner and the staff all the time, trying to keep everyone happy in this perfect little world. And I really wanted to create that for other COOs to have an opportunity to kind of, go put systems in place, have some big wins, move on to the next project.
Oh, I love this conversation. You can just tell that she's passionate about this. You can just hear her intelligence and how she speaks about this process. You can obviously see the experience. So, again, I'm over here like a little kid in a cookie jar because it's just like really cool for me. So, thank you for being here today. Give me the what's the biggest thing you guys are focused on growing right now as a company?
Yeah, for us, I'm very grateful for my team. I love my team, and I have no desire to have a team of like 55 advisors, right? I just want to figure out how do I get my team more clients, more efficiently, in the most productive, enjoyable way that they're serving more folks on a higher level. How do I get our clients? Because there's this kind of yucky rap around fractional. A lot of people have abused it. So when people are, seeing fractional, they're like, oh, great, I'm going to have this huge price tag. And I'm only going to get 2 hours worth of work, which is the opposite of why I got into this and what I wanted to do. So I want to figure out how do we serve people for the least amount of money possible, but they're still feeling like they're getting 40 hours worth of work. They're still feeling like, oh my gosh, this is the best investment I've ever made. The way that people feel about your company, right? When you introduce them to VAs and you partner them up and they're like, oh, this is so relieving because I only need someone for 15 hours. I got a really dialed in person and I don't have to pay them, all of these wages and employee tax and blah, 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 blah with 40 hours. So, I think that I'm just looking at AI tools and resources to make everyone better and stronger and have a better client experience.
How do you because the stigma can be there, and it's same in every industry. Virtual assistants has a stigma, so everybody's got a stigma in some capacity. So what are you intentionally doing, right, to break through that stigma? And maybe you address that a little bit where you're not trying to overcharge, right, and you're trying to make it a win-win for them. But what specific kind of strategies are you employing there? Is it just education, knowledge, communication?
Price is important, but obligation and commitment is as well. A lot of people are really stuck. And from a business perspective, I totally understand. So if some people aren't in the space to do this, totally get it. But locking people into 9 and 12-month commitments and, these big packages because it's easier, maybe it makes more sense for you on the commission side, this, that, the other. We got away from all of that. And I really will tell you, switching from month to month services and having an open door of just saying, hey, we just want a 30-day notice. So that way we're able to fill our books and continue to scale. But, this is an open door. We want you to be happy and have a great experience. And so it's just 30-day commitments at a time. It's month to month with a 30-day notice. We want you to come back. If we solved the project and we did amazing, we want you to come back for the next project. And so switching from, these 9-month, 12-month commitments, 6 months, 10,000 up front, a retainer fee, yada, 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 just put your price point on your website. First of all, there's a million of us out there. And if your prices are not, when someone is shopping and they want to make a decision, if your prices are not out there, they're going to move on to someone that their prices are out there. And then get rid of the big commitments, right? It's much better than a chargeback on your merchant account too. So if you're not sure about that, right, having healthy merchant accounts in the high ticket or high end space is really important as well, especially reoccurring spaces. And I just can't recommend that enough. Like, get rid of the crazy contracts. Like, they will come. Your people will find you. And that pressure is just, it's going to be gone. It makes the call so much easier. And then you're coming from a posture standpoint too. Like, hey, take it or leave it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we feel that over here too, right? Like, contracts are becoming more and more, I don't know if it's scrutinized, but more on like the public's not enjoying a lengthy contract, right? Now, again, mortgages and buying a house and all that's a whole different gamut. But when it comes to services, right, it's like we've realized that too, right? We were always a 12-month package, right? Because also part of it is it's a balance, because if I give somebody just 30 days to implement a VA and they don't really put the intention and effort to implement it in, then they're going to be like, yeah, it doesn't work. So there's a balance between holding their feet to the fire with an obligation that pushes them to be successful, as opposed to, it's just 30 days, I'm out, So how do you find that balance where, you're not pouring into a business owner and they're not reciprocating back, and then they want to just say like, yeah, it didn't work after 30 days?
Yeah, I try and get rid of that early on in the call, like with the team. Sometimes I have to remind them that this is a mutual fit, and sometimes we talk people out of it. Sometimes if the team is on a what we call a discovery call and they are having a little bit of a rough go, and they reach out and they're like, hey, like I'm just not sure. I'll be the bad cop and I'll jump in. I'll send an email, send a text, jump on the call, and just be like, look, like this might not be for you. Here's what I don't want to have happen. Yeah. I don't want a bad review out there. I don't want you complaining to other folks that this didn't work. Here's my concerns on what could happen down the road. So this is what I'm asking. And we've also really identified like who our core customer is, and that's been really helpful. But again, we're very specific, right, on some of those niches and what we're doing. And it's very clear. I think that, yes, service-based, but also, you guys are much broader in that. And there is a different learning curve, right? For us, they are expecting us to get it right the first time because you're paying for the experience, with the VA, like, they haven't been responsible or been an executive for 3 years. So that's a completely different learning curve, right? And you invest in different learning curves.
And I think you're spot on too, is they're coming to you for a pain point, right? They have a pain somewhere. So they're more open to, like, on my world with the virtual assistants, they have a pain point, but whether they really realize it's a significant enough pain point, because they'll just say, hell, I can just keep doing it myself, even though that's creating that pain point for them that they just haven't fully recognized or realized until they have marital problems or alcohol problems or whatever those pain points turn into. So what's the biggest breakthrough that kind of changed the trajectory of your business, would you say?
The biggest breakthrough. I would say for me, like on moments when it's difficult, or I'm like, man, like, why do I have a team? If I just had 10 clients and did this myself, just all those questions we have sometimes, right? Of when things are tough, it's the moment when, we're working with an owner, we're working with a team. Maybe we're not working directly with the owner, but we've been working with the team, and the team's really starting to catch on and they're starting to get it, and they have a cultural shift. And the owner reaches out and was like, hey, this makes me emotional because this just happened. But they're like, hey, I was able to make it to my son's, softball practice.
Yeah, I love that.
Hey, I was, I had my phone off all day on Saturday. Just the piece of those things. I think people forget why we're in it, and we get on this hamster wheel and we start going and going and going. And it's like, what's the point? Like, you're not even having fun anymore. You're not there for dinner. You're not there on the weekends. Your phone's always on. Dad's always busy. Mom's always busy. Right. Yep. Or it's like you're grinding and you're younger. And so these people that are younger, that aren't married and don't have children yet, they're just out here basically like suffering. And they're missing out on some of the best connections to meet their spouse or to have a family, because they're in this like grind and hustle culture. And it's like, you don't have to be alone doing this. So when I get messages like that, like that's the big reason why. Like, I just want everyone to be like, okay, like I'm back on track with my mission. I'm back on track, with the goal of why I started this company and who I'm helping and who I'm serving. I think that's the best part of it.
Yeah, I went to a conference in Kansas a few weeks ago and spoke on stage for one of our partners, and that's kind of where I go through, right? Is I'm like, I don't want to look like I'm not trying to act like God or anything like that, but I'm like, I changed the philosophy of our business. My philosophy of business is, I'm trying to save marriages. I'm trying to save relationships with kids. I'm trying to save people from going into alcohol, divorce. And people look at me like, well, that's awfully mighty of you. And it's like, well, but here's my point, right? My point is, we all want to hustle and we all want to grind, and we forget about what's important. Right. And so it's like, I can get some pretty good emotions coming out of the crowd once I kind of bring that message, but it's true. And the reason it hits home is because almost every business owner has gone through that in some capacity. And if you can just help get in front of that and help them discover it, and realize that leverage, fractional executives, and those type of things are in place to prevent that from happening, it becomes a game changer. And when you go out and talk your message, for lack of better terms.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think you hold a really great space, for men too. I think men take on so much. They just keep piling it on. And it's like, well, you're supposed to be a provider and you're supposed to, have this. And so they'll just like keep piling on until they're miserable. And, an addict doesn't know that they're an addict until they're like reaching for a support system that isn't the right support system,
Yeah. And guys historically are not great at reaching out for support and help, right? They just keep like, I'll figure it out, right? Until it's a point of, it's beyond that point of, of healthy obsession of their business, shall we say. Wow. Thanks for taking us down that path. That's awesome. I love the emotional side of the business for sure. What gives you kind of today, what is the most leverage that you guys have in your business? Seeing this is a leverage podcast, I'll talk a little bit about, it could be a system, it could be a software, it could be people. Talk to me a little bit about where you guys see like the biggest leverage you're using in your business.
So I wouldn't say it's something that we're using. I think it's the experience that we've had. So because, we had some pretty big partners, monthly on stages, things like that. And so we have served over 3,200 companies the past 5 years. And because of that, we have the data. Like we know what works inside of med spas and dental practices and chiropractic services and veterinarian clinics. Like even the most random HVAC, plumbing, like you name it. It's just we have the data, and that is the ultimate leverage, right? Is just having the data, having it organized. And this is really what we push for other people too, is to have their data organized. Because if you want to sell and exit one day, if you're service-based, or even for those of us that are in the coaching and consulting base, like it's really hard to exit out of a consulting company and a coaching business. What they're going to buy is your database if it's cleaned up and pretty and organized. So data, big on that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I kind of go down that path, and I have a background not only in corporate but real estate for quite a while, and that was kind of the thing, right? The anomaly was, if you build a big enough business and you build enough systems, you can sell your entire asset or your team, and that just wasn't the case. It was ultimately your database is what you were selling, as you said, and then the definition of how healthy is your database. I don't know, if you give me 12,000 people in your database, what does that mean? Is it a bunch of internet leads? Is it people that have bought in the last year? Is it people you pissed off and they don't want to talk to you again?
Yeah, they're on the D&D list, and you have no idea that you bought a bunch of people on the D&D list. It happens daily. You also have to know how to like look and assess the data, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely. What is kind of an avatar or target business that would be great for your services or right you aspire to attract to your business?
Yeah, I think for people that have, 3 or 5 employees, and this could be including VAs, as well. But if you're looking to organize things, like maybe you really want to clean up, like you have a product, it's gone to market. You've played around with different price points, right? But you've had like 2 years of consistency for the most part in the product. Maybe price points have changed, but just the product or service that you have out there. And you're looking to start documenting processes that work and processes that don't. If you're looking to start growing, figuring out before you scale. I know that's a hot word right now, but everybody needs to just chill out for a second. You're not ready to pour gasoline on the fire because you don't know, what's a bomb and you don't know what's firewood in your business. So, I think documentation, and that is such a drag for so many people, but I have a bunch of nerds who love documentation. So, really, if it's that time for those things, then it's a good fit.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you look at things from, you mentioned earlier, right? You have the visionaries, right? And they can get drowned out or drugged down by what I'll call integrator type stuff, right? It's the old rocket fuel analogy of visionary versus integrator. What is, What's your recommendation? And I see this a lot in some of the higher level founders, probably sometimes CEOs, where they're the visionary, but they're also the integrator just because that's where they're at. Yet that's two polar opposite people usually. There's a very few that can pull off both, but most people are visionary or integrator. So talk to me about that a little bit.
Yes. And thank you, because I say this all the time. So now I have backup, and I'll just clip this and send it to people, and be like, see, I told you. They're not the same people, and Gino, right? We've got Vern Harnish with Scaling Up, and then we've got Gino Wickman, like the godfathers of operations and systems. They coined this for us to be very clear in who you are, because it's not the same. Your brains don't work the same. If you're a visionary, and like I said, you're a relationship builder, you're a connector, you've got all these new ideas, right? I don't think of all these new ideas all the time. I definitely don't want to go to a conference and talk to 200 people and stay out all night just connecting and talking business. I want to be behind the scenes just geeking out.
I do.
Yeah, you I think most likely could be someone that does both, for sure. I mean, your event
I'll go to the events and network and meet 200 people. I don't want to integrate.
You created the event so you could do that. Like, that's how wild you are, for that. When I saw the event, I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But it's like, look, just find someone that, like I said, find someone that loves all of the things that you hate doing, because I love collections. I love data entry. I love all those operations. I love SOPs. There is someone out there who loves all of the things that you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Are you kidding me? If an eye roll comes in, like, put it on their list, Yes. So you have to stay in your lane. You do. You have to stay in your lane. Like, you cannot wear all the hats. We've been told a million times you cannot do this alone, and you don't have to do it alone. It's not fun, right? There's no sharing. To me, that's not success. But there's people who want to support your mission. There's people who believe in the same things that you do, that they see your vision and they get excited about it. They just want to do all the other stuff to support it. So I think it's really important to recognize that. I also want to say, okay, there's a difference between owner, founder, COO. We've got that down. Mm-hmm. I'd also like to say, just because you're an owner founder does not mean that you're a good CEO. That doesn't mean you should put CEO on your title. I know everyone's like title happy, especially on LinkedIn and all these other things, Instagram and the whole 9 yards. But, CEO is for execution. Again, if you're a good yapper and a good relationship builder, but you're not good at like execution, and that means taking it to the finish line, right? If you talk all these things and you talk all these new ideas and you launch all these new products, but we're not at the finish line, which is to market, which is available to the public, which is out there and people know what it is. If you're not an executor, you're not a CEO. And that's hard, but it's true.
It's so true. It's so true. And I think that's, you said, people get caught up in the title, right? Instead of the actual role and what fits it. A couple things you said there that really stuck out was, I've always heard the saying, go faster alone, but go further together, right? And so it's so important that we have, whether it's a third-party contractor as your teammate, right? A service or somebody in office. Nobody says it has to be one or the other, but you need a team, right? In some capacity. So very smart there.
We have to rework that statement too, because if I have a VA that's handling my podcasts, if I have a VA that's, following up and doing my calendar management, if I have a personal assistant who's doing the grocery shopping and taking care of laundry and dishes and meal prep and all those other things at home, I also will get done things a lot faster. It's going faster and farther with people. Like, I don't know, to say what, like, oh, I did it all by myself.
Yeah. And so many people just want that ego. And I'm just like, why? I'm a guy that wants to help other people win anyways, right? Like, I want to bring people in because now my motivation is to help them achieve things that they've never achieved anywhere else. Now they got to step up and they got to hold to the accountability, the standards and everything. But I want to build something so we all are happy together, right? I don't
Yeah.
need to stand on a mountain and go, look at me, I did this by myself. Oh, by the way, I'm divorced and had to go through Alcohol's Anonymous.
Yeah.
But I'm here,
Exactly.
rags to riches.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we need to get away from like the traumatic, poor me. I did it all by myself. I started from the bottom. I don't know why that's being praised, but it is a weird praise. And it's very isolating. So, anyways, we welcome people to come to come from that.
We are the same, sister. We're the same.
Yeah.
What's one process, system, or habit that has kind of helped create extraordinary results for you?
Oh man. If I had to just give one, and well, it's not going to be one because it's going to lead into so many other things. I have so many because I love systems. Pattern recognition. Pattern recognition is a real thing. This is something that changed my life. Whether you need to get a coach, whether you need to learn about it on chat, whatever, whether you have an aura ring, it doesn't matter what it is. Start documenting your patterns. When do you make good decisions? When do you make poor decisions? Not just being hangry or short on sleep. Like that's everybody. I'm talking about, should you work out in the morning? Should you work out in the evening? Should you eat breakfast? Should you be fasting? Should you make large financial decisions before 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Should you be on team meetings right at 8 a.m. or are you better poised, better prepared when you've had time to really get into the flow? Do you want to start your morning talking to people and handle your largest relationships and connections in the morning? This goes for so many things, but pattern recognition is where it's at.
I hadn't heard that before. That's really cool. I always learn something. That's part of why I do this show. There's so many smart people out there that I'm always learning just as much as anything. So I'm kind of greedy that way. I get to reap the benefits by just asking questions, but learn as much as everybody on the show does. What's a lesson that you've learned the hard way?
I'd say, like, for younger me, if I could just shut my mouth and just listen. I think that we get excited about things. So you want to add and you want to chime in and you want to prove yourself and you want responsibility and you want to show ownership. And those are all great. I think that if I could go back in time, just waiting for the invitation sometimes, I'm a very eager, excited person when I get to support. Obviously that shows, right? I'm a natural supporter. I love supporting people. But I think waiting for the invitation is important. I think that in my earlier days, I think being a little too eager or too green on things before waiting for the invitation, I actually killed some of those relationships, where it's like, yes, everything that is meant for you is meant for you. So they came back at a later point, and I'm super grateful for my life and what's been placed in it and the timing, right? It's not our timing. But yeah, I would say, like, sometimes you just got to shut your mouth and wait for the invitation.
Love it. What is something entrepreneurs are consistently underestimating?
Delegation. Like, just, again, it's going back to the, like, I can do it. I'm the best at it. I get it done faster. For some things, yes. For majority of them, no. And you don't know until you know better. It's kind of one of those things, like, you don't realize how relieved you are or how much it compounds. But I'd say if you're not sure, you should take your annual salary, divide that by your average time per week, and then get your hourly rate. Anything below your hourly rate, you should be delegating.
Yep, that's absolutely true. I know Dan Martell goes through a similar exercise like that with the buyback your time, right? And we do that on stage a lot too, because it just puts a number in place, right? It helps you really put a stat behind a decision that you're making instead of, I can just do it. When you think, would I pay somebody $400 an hour to do that? It sets a different tone in your brain. What trends are you paying attention to right now?
I think some important trends to pay attention to is how your audience and your customers are reacting to AI. Some people are all about it and they love like a really quick response. Other people are very turned off by
Turned
it
off.
and they don't feel heard or seen. You know, they're like, I just sent you this heartfelt email and I got a generated AI response in 2 minutes. Like, you obviously didn't read my email, or you didn't take this seriously, or you weren't present, you know, because you had the AI recording on our call. You really have to be, you know, and I would say like take some surveys, but you have to really have awareness around your clients and your audience, your community, on their perception of AI, because it's really different for everybody right now. It's different for, you know, certain age groups, industries. Some people who were all in are very like all out right now. It's changing with compliance. So yeah, I'd say like that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's go into the lightning round. So these are short answers to short questions. It's meant to go fast. So
Okay, I'll
favorite
try.
favorite business book.
Ooh, The Power of Now.
All right. Best purchase under $100.
Best purchase under $100. My
In
ring
today's
light.
market, that's hard.
My ring light.
Ring light. Yeah, nice,
Yeah.
nice. I thought you were going to say your Aura ring, but that's more than $100.
Yeah, I wish.
Let me see the next one I want to do. What's your favorite AI tool you're using right now?
Oh my gosh, I just geeked out on this the other day and I was so happy. So it's called Boardy, Boardy, and it's a super connector. So it gets to know you, it reads through everything. It says, hey, these are the people that I think would be the best connections. It hooks up to your LinkedIn, it goes and finds them, and then it makes recommendations. So it's a super connector. And it also has its own database of people that want to be connected, and it's free. So
well, thank God you didn't run me through that before committing to be a guest, because I might have told you like, go the other way.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I'm going to have to look into that though. That's definitely sounds like a cool tool.
I love
I hadn't
it.
heard that one. Right.
Yeah.
Nice. If I were to open your phone and look at what the screen time was, what app would I see has the most screen time on it on your phone?
That's a great question. Probably Upwork. You know, sometimes, but I would say LinkedIn is definitely up there. I do a lot of those messages just because it's not social media. Usually it's professional conversations. And so I actually want to invest in those. I don't spend a lot of time. I don't even do my own, you know, social media, but LinkedIn, definitely. I try and prioritize that.
Love it. That's probably a funny joke that we may or may not both know together, that my VA uses my social media to talk to Katie's VA, who used her social media.
No, that's so true. I know. I messaged Ellie and I was like, hey, I'm on. And she's like, okay, I'll message him. And I was like, where are you messaging? And she's like, Facebook. I was like, what? Okay.
It's so amazing. I love the story.
I know.
What's the most impactful habit you have?
Ooh, impactful habit that I have. Time tracking.
Love it. A belief that you have that most entrepreneurs disagree with.
We should speak openly about our faith. And I want to intermix faith and business.
Love it. One thing you would automate immediately. Anything.
Automate immediately for anything. I have so many things automated. Go ahead. My personal life.
Yeah, it could be personal. Like some people are like instantly make food.
Driving. I hate driving. Like I hate driving. And Tesla's not good enough. I don't feel safe enough. I mean, like legit, don't have to think about a single thing. You know, no matter where I want to go, no matter how bad
teleporting. You want to automate into teleporting.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Just teleport me from A to B. Last question I have for you, my friend, is what is your definition of leverage as coming from Katie's definition?
Yeah, I think leverage is having awareness of what you have available to you and making and prioritizing that for your highest and best use. It's not leverage if it's not, serving you for your highest and best. Just because it's leverage in one area or another doesn't always mean that it's leverage. But I think that having awareness around your opportunities for your highest and best use.
Yeah, love it. Well, Katie, that's all I have for you today. If people want to reach out to you, any of our guests, whether it's today, 6 months from now, whenever they see this episode, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Kati Peterman. There's no E on my name, just Kati. But LinkedIn is the best bet.
All right, love it. And you all know, as I say every episode, I am a connector. I love networking. I love connecting with people. I always want to be a resource wherever I can. I love finding resources, just like Katie, not to call her a resource, but her services are a resource, right? And so anytime you need anything, reach out to me. I always have the Rolodex of everybody that's gracious enough to give me their time to come in today. I know you're a busy business lady, so I really appreciate you coming in today. Any parting thoughts? If not, we will close this up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm so glad we get a nerd out on this, and I just appreciate you. Yeah.
I'm going to get up on stage, and I'm going to invite you, and you're going to get up on stage, and we're going to talk sometime.
Perfect. Okay.
All right, thanks, Katie.